Okay, I think we'll get started because we've got a lot to get through over the next hour. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Troop Holiday Impact Market. Thank you so much for coming. My name's Kelly. I'm the founder of Troop. For those of you who don't know, Troop is a social enterprise that supports businesses in creating social impact. We do it in a way that engages all of their employees, where every single month employees get to vote on the local tangible need that their business is going to fulfill that month. As a social enterprise and as a member of the Women of Ontario Social Enterprise Network, I get the opportunity to meet loads of amazing founders and business owners that are creating businesses that have a positive environmental and social impact in our community. So I thought, why not bring together a bunch of these amazing business leaders and share them with you at a time when you can use the power of your holiday purchasing dollars in order to also have an impact. So here's how it's going to work. We have got 9 amazing companies to showcase to you today. Each of those companies is going to have around 5 minutes in order to tell you a little bit about their story, why they started their company, the impact that they're hoping to create. They're going to show you their products. A few of them are also going to share some exclusive discount codes. If you don't get all this, if you're not able to kind of capture the company name and the URL and the discount codes and all that other stuff, don't worry. We're going to follow up with an email afterwards to everybody with all of those details. So if you've got any questions as we're kind of going through this, the Q&A is open, so you can drop your questions into the Q&A. I've got my colleagues here, Kendra and Howie, who are going to help me out to make sure that we answer all of those questions. So we've got so many inspiring stories to get through, so many amazing products that I know that you're going to want to add to your holiday shopping list. So let's get into the market. And what a better place to start than with jewelry. So I'm going to welcome Lorinda from Kind Karma Company. Kind Karma is a fine jewelry company that employs at-risk and homeless youth in Toronto. So Lorinda, welcome. Thank you for coming, and tell us a little bit more about the business that you're building.
Thank you so much for having me. I love this idea, and I think that I love what you're doing showcasing small businesses. So thank you so much. A bit about me, I started Kind Karma in 2017, and it was actually a result of a very tumultuous period in my life where I suffered from severe clinical depression, anxiety, in my 3rd year of university, actually. So I was forced to drop out of university. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't even sit still. I couldn't sit in a movie theater at all. So I had to leave school. I went to school abroad. So I actually had to come home, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I tried to find purpose, and instead of school occupying my time, I thought, well, why not just skip over that and we'll start to maybe make some money, and hopefully I can find purpose through employment. But I think without credentials, especially university degree or diploma, and with no employment experience, I didn't have very many options. And the only options that were available to me were basically in the retail industry or the restaurant industry. And I chose retail. It's a very tough industry at the best of times because you're always on, you're working very long hours, your schedule is pretty inflexible. I mean, they schedule the bare minimum, and if you don't show up, you kind of put everybody in a very hard position. So it was very inflexible scheduling, and the work actually ended up exacerbating my mental condition. So I would never be able to hold a job for longer than a couple months. I'd have to leave. I'd take 2 weeks to kind of regroup, and then I'd try to go again, hoping that another company might be a little bit different, which it never was. So that period, although I ended up, finding some sort of healing, I eventually was lucky, and I moved into the corporate world. It really left an impact on me. So I've always wanted to start a business. I've always wanted to just be an entrepreneur, and I've had so many harebrained ideas over the years. But it wasn't until I found my passion that I want to give back and I want to do something positive that I finally was able to find a business idea that stuck. And that business idea is through an art therapy based employment model. So what Kind Karma does is we employ at-risk and homeless youth in Toronto to handcraft jewelry. And that stems from the fact that a lot of at-risk and homeless youth have suffered mental and emotional trauma and challenges, just like I did, but a lot worse and they have the same options again that I did, and that doesn't always fit anybody's unique needs or requirements. So with this, it's a low barrier approach to employment where work functions like art class, but they're paid as if they would be working at a retail job or as a barista or a server, and they get to make jewelry. So it's a very fun environment. It's very relaxed. It's less stressful, and we've actually found that it's been successful for youth who have not been able to hold employment before for any length of time in the past. And it's also great because we also provide jewelry which customers love, and it's great to hear customer feedback and it also helps encourage and promote confidence and self-esteem to know that what they've created is loved, and it's great to be able to support them in their journey. So on top of getting paid fair hourly wages, we also give proceeds back to support individual goals such as funding education or housing or courses. And it's our way of contributing to just that looking forward intention and to move forward. So some of the examples of the jewelry that we have are, we have this little tree of life necklace, which I'll hold up, and I don't know if you guys can see. It's very minimalist. All of our pieces are designed to layer. They're made from high quality gold-filled materials or sterling silver, so they don't tarnish or fade. They're hypoallergenic. And yeah, they're just made to be enjoyed. This is another piece. It's our classic herringbone necklace. It's just a nice strand. And yeah, so we create these pieces and they're loved, and it's jewelry with intention. So we're very thankful to be able to do that.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So does the product line cover necklaces, rings, bracelets? It covers kind of the whole gambit of jewelry?
Exactly. So like over here, we have these little bracelets, and they're actually our best-selling Morse code bracelets. So the little gold beads on the bracelet spell out words in Morse code. They come standard. They say either hope, love, strength, kindness, or courage. You can also get custom ones. So we have ones that say, you know, a name or a date or things like that. So, and then we have these little earrings as well. So we do, yeah, we do the whole gambit. We have rings too out of recycled materials. So that's our little environmental impact.
And what's the best way for people to find you? What's your URL?
Yeah, so we're at kindkarma.ca, and we do free standard shipping across Canada and the US. So it's a great way to just kind of help support, and that's our way of just encouraging that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lorinda, for sharing your story with us. And see what I meant by inspiring folks. Really, really great to have you here. Thank you.
Thank
you.
We're
going to move on to our next vendor now. So did you know that socks are one of the most needed and least donated items at homeless shelters? So next we're going to talk to Marissa. She's going to tell us a little bit more about sock footage and how she's addressing that issue. Hey, Marissa.
Hey everyone. Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks to the Troop team for putting this together. What an amazing opportunity to showcase vendors that are doing good and giving back this holiday season. So thank you. My name is Marissa. I am the founder of Sock Footage, and Sock Footage is a sock company with a one-for-one giving model. So as Kelly mentioned, most people are not aware that socks are one of the most needed and least donated items to homeless shelters. And the reason for that is that most homeless shelters actually won't accept used socks or underwear. So when you think about giving donations to a shelter, often you're cleaning your closets at the end of the season and throwing used clothing into a bag, but very rarely do we think to go and buy new and donate. So unfortunately for that reason, there's always a shortage. And for me, it was important given my experience. So I worked in the sock industry for a large sock manufacturer here in Toronto for about 5.5 years. And through that experience, after learning that socks were one of the most needed and least donated items, I wanted to be able to use my relationships and skills and experience from that industry to be able to give back. So Sock Footage, as I mentioned, is a sock company with a one-for-one giving model. So we offer men's, women's, and kids socks, and they're all kind of funky patterns like donuts. We have wine socks for women. We have bacon and eggs for kids. So you'll see a lot of funky patterns, everything ranging from food to sports themed socks. We have a lot of holiday socks available as well. So some of those would include, let's say, the men's Santa dogs. We also have the women's happy holidays for Hanukkah coming up. And essentially, for every pair that you buy, we give you a pair to donate. So sort of non-traditional to other one-for-one giving models, we actually wanted to offer the consumer the opportunity to get involved firsthand in their donation experience. So you have both options. While understanding that not everyone's comfortable giving face-to-face, we wanted to provide that as an option. And so when you check out at cart, when you are purchasing socks online, you'll be prompted with a pop-up to ask how you'd like to take care of the donation piece. And so you'll be presented with a few options, some of which are just partner charities that we work with if you want us to donate on your behalf, or you can actually have the donation sock, which is a gray cotton men's sock, ship out with your order to be able to give face-to-face or to your charity of choice. So we've got lots of options. We also offer sock subscriptions where you can actually do good every month. So they come in monthly, 6-month, or annual subscriptions for both men and women. You can gift them. Anytime they're gifted, we will include information on where the socks are going and on our mission. We also offer sock bouquets. So this is just an example of one that I'm working on right now. For men, women, and kids, there's customizable options or preset options. Each sock bouquet contains 2 to 6 pairs of socks. And again, we always incorporate the one-for-one giving model. We also have a coupon available. So there is a discount if you use the word troop when you're checking out as a promo code. You'll get 20% off your order. We ship to both Canada and the US, and we have free shipping over $50. I also want to mention that we are piloting our first charitable sock vending machine at Dufferin Mall at the moment. So if you're in the area, please do go and check it out. And again, thank you to the team at Troop for putting this amazing market together.
Thank you, Marissa. I was actually just going to ask you about the vending machine because I wanted you to mention that. I think it's the coolest idea. So thank you so much. One quick question. I'm curious, and I think that other people might be curious. Typically, do people actually get you to donate the socks, or do more people actually request for the socks so that they can donate them themselves?
I would say that it's a bit of a 90-10 split. So most people on average will ask for us to donate the socks. But in the cases where they do want to donate, I always share this statistic that I heard on the radio, which is that on average, homeless people only hear their names 4 times a year. So when you think about that and you're going out and you're passing people on the streets this holiday season, at the very least, just go up and introduce yourself by name and ask someone their name, because you really don't know that that small act of kindness has a huge impact. So I always say, you know, go up to someone, offer them a fresh pair of socks. You never know what will strike up as a conversation, and it gives them an opportunity to share their story. So.
Also, quick question: any wool socks for winter cyclists?
We don't have wool socks, but we do have adorable men's socks that say "I really like you" with the bicycle on them. So I encourage those. They are very popular.
Amazing. Thanks, Marissa. Thanks so much for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're moving on. If you have kids in your life, you are definitely going to want to check out Kids Swag. So a company that's committed to helping parents raise confident kids that appreciate differences. And we've got founder Kim with us today. Kim, thank you for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about Kids Swag?
For sure. Confirming you can see me, right?
Yep, we can see you.
Okay, good. I was like clicking the buttons. Okay. So hello, everyone. And thank you so much, Kelly and team, for this opportunity. It's also like, it's the opportunity to talk about Kids Swag, but it's also really cool hearing the other companies as well. So Kids Swag, you can kind of see some visuals behind as I speak as well. I started 5 years ago while I was on maternity leave. But the sort of passion, story, vision for what it is was planted way before that. So I have 2 girls. I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old now. So it's kind of crazy. But really what happened was my 9-year-old around age 2 came to me and said, I want to have blonde hair and blue eyes. And that hurt, especially as a Black parent, a Black mother, because really what she's saying is, I don't see myself as beautiful. I don't view myself as good enough. And I realized that myself, I was not helping in making sure she had an environment where she was really seeing herself. When I started looking around, as much as I was being intentional about the books that I was buying for her world was all things sort of Disney and any other sort of mainstream character. So curtains and backpacks and tables and etc. Of course, you walk through those big box stores, it's very easy to get those items. And then TV. And so it was reinforcing this idea that there was only one standard of beauty and only one way of being. And so I became very intentional on how I started shopping for her. And so I started buying items and I would just share them on Facebook. And then friends and family would ask, where did you get these items? And of course I would share. And so fast forward to when I was on mat leave with the youngest, it was a friend that said, you know, everything that you're doing for your girls, I'm sure other people would appreciate if you kind of curated it and turned it into a store. And I looked at her a little puzzled and confused. I was like, that's not a store. I was like, I'm just doing this for my girls and I'm happy to sort of share where I got them from. And she's like, no, she's like, if you think of any sort of big chain store, what are they doing? They're curating a certain product based on whatever sort of interests of a group and bringing it in one place to make it easy to shop. And I was like, oh, I understand. And so that's why when I was on mat leave, I created Kid Swag. So Kid Swag is all about children products with positive Black representation, and really born out of the need of my own kids, then the feedback I got from just friends and family, and then broader as more and more people started to see the items that I had. The main message of Kid Swag is confident kids that appreciate difference. And this is so important to me because the idea that Kid Swag sells products with Black images doesn't mean that our product is only for Black kids. And so it was so important to make sure that in telling the story and how we go to market, that we really sort of hit home the idea that it's so important that all kids are exposed. And that's one of the reasons why we focus on swag items. So Kid Swag is a play on words. It's the idea of swag being confidence. It's sort of that sort of hip hop type of term. And then swag being accessory items. And the reason I focus on accessory items is going back to my daughter. It's the idea of visually kids learn based on what they see, especially at an early age. And so not only for Black kids, for non-Black kids, for them to be able to see other visuals, for it to start to be normalized, the idea of, oh, Black can be sort of exist in so many different spaces and hold so many different types of roles, that's important. And so that's where you get the tagline, confident kids that appreciate difference, that confident kid being that Black child, feeling confidence in themselves, that self-love, that appreciation of difference of non-Black kids being able to be exposed and appreciate difference. And a perfect example is actually today, my 5-year-old, while I was combing her hair, she was just like, someone in my class told me that she doesn't like my hair. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, she says that it looks weird. And I was like, what did you say? She's like, oh, I told her that I love my hair. And I was like, oh, and I'm like, that's so sweet. It sounds simple, but as a Black child, and speaking even for myself, it is such a mental exercise to constantly be confronted with people questioning your very existence and the sense that you actually are beautiful or you belong in a certain space. And so for her to have that confidence at 5 to be like, I don't care what you say, like, of course I'm beautiful, regardless, was a point of confidence and sort of encouragement for me that she's on the right path and that will take her so far. But it also highlights why that appreciation of difference is so important, because I don't have anything against that child. Really what happened with that child, they're not exposed to difference. They're in that bubble, they're in an environment where they're seeing one sense of what it means to be beautiful, what it means to be human, what it means to exist. And so it's hard for them to appreciate anything different. And naturally, as humans, when we see different, we kind of step back and we're like, oh, that's bad. And that's why it's so important. And what really captures that, and something that's kind of the underlying philosophy of Kids Swag, is this idea of mindful representation. So it's a term that I coined, and it really is adding to that idea of mindfulness, where it's saying, you know what, if we're very intentional about how we go about ensuring our words, the visuals, and the experiences that we put in our kids' life, and even in our own life, are actually going to be immersed with a lot of different experiences, we're going to get to that point of appreciating difference. So the last thing I'll say is, with Kids Swag, I always say it's not about any one product, and you can see all the different products that we carry. It really is about the lifestyle of how do you make sure that you're bringing up kids that love themselves and appreciate others.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kim, for sharing that story with us and for all the work that you're doing with Kids Swag. I've got 2 girls not far in age from yours, and I'm definitely going to be doing some shopping on your site. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next who are we moving on to? Okay, so if you're on the hunt for some bold, bright kitchenware, we've got Cookin'. That's the place to go. So I'm going to welcome Laura and Fenella to tell us a little bit more about Cookin'. Hey, guys.
Hello. Well, wow. First of all, these stories are all super amazing and inspiring. And so thank you for having us be a part of that. I'm Laura.
And I'm Fenella.
And we are Cookin'. Cookin' is a collection of mid-century modern Scandinavian cookware, serveware, and tableware. We are both designers, and we both come up from a world where we understand that design can last forever. And actually our tagline is great taste lasts forever. And we truly believe that. We have a whole range of pots and pans and everything that you can imagine for your kitchen. We like to think of them as having their own stories. They've been around for a long time and can go on for much, much longer.
Yes, so we want to celebrate that, you know, you don't always necessarily have to buy new. Sometimes you can find like an even better treasure that has been previously loved and treasured. And a lot of these, a lot of our kitchenware, you know, there's all kinds of magic that happens around cooking and entertaining and having friends, you know, like with family time and friends time. It's just very special. So what we want to do is you know, they're made so well, they still have so much life in them that we want someone else to go on and enjoy them for many, many years and continue the love and the treasure of these items. And they're just really wonderful pieces. They bring a lot of joy to your life every day. Laura and I just love them. Mm-hmm. We actually started this back about a year ago. I lost my job to COVID, and I just couldn't fathom going back to do another sort of corporate job. And I really loved my job, so I was really devastated. But Laura and I had always been antiquing together, and we're always reaching for the same pot and would take turns buying the pots because we both love them. And I reached out to her and said, you know, that business idea that we had, do you mind if, like, why don't we just like move the timing up a little bit? And she's like, yes, let's do it. So then Cookin' was born, and we love it. We have so much fun with it. Actually, the reaction from people has been pretty outstanding. We've been very lucky so far. Like the uptake has been amazing. And the other thing that we wanted to do is, you know, during COVID, we also realized that so many people in our neighborhood have been really affected. And
food insecurity has been a really top of mind. And because we are part of celebration and cooking, we have partnered with Parkdale Community Food Bank, and 5% of our sales go to them, and we support them. We volunteer there because we know that access to food and the way that we think about, you know, having a family meal and a dinner isn't the reality for what we've seen. We're going to start crying.
Yeah.
in our neighborhood. So we live and work in Parkdale. And so we encourage all of our children to take part and volunteer as well, so that they can also understand what a privilege they have to live where they live and what they're doing and to give back to the community. But ideally what we want to do is save all this from landfill as well. Like we really absolutely want people to love these things and reuse them. And hopefully they'll be around a lot longer than us.
Because those are items that should not be in a landfill, let me tell you. Thank you. Where can people find you? I know that you've got your shop set up, so.
Actually, we're sitting, so I don't know that you all have been down here, but we're sitting this week at Stacked Market, which is at Front and Backhurst. It's a really interesting little market. We have a pop-up here. We do have a full online store, although we have special items here that aren't on our website. You can follow us on Instagram too and see all the stuff that we post ongoing. But please come down, visit us. And we have a coupon code here, which can be used online or come see us in person. There's lots of really interesting activities happening around here as well. If you want to bring the family down, it's really kind of interesting, and lots of food and lots of other pop-ups and interesting companies also doing reusing things. And yeah, that's us.
It's amazing. Thank you so much, Laura and Fenella. Thank you very much for sharing your story. So we move on to our next vendor. And we're moving on to a daily staple of mine, that's coffee. So I'm going to welcome Ross and Caitlin from Street Brew. So Ross and Caitlin, over to you. I think.
There we go. I think we're live.
Yes,
Hello,
I think we've got.
hello. My name's Caitlin. This is Ross. We are the father-daughter duo behind Street Brew Coffee. We're a social enterprise specialty craft roastery here in the city of Toronto. Basically what that means is we love good quality coffee and we love connecting with coffee lovers in the city. And we just want to use our specialty coffee to make a positive difference and give back, specifically in the lives of homeless people here in the city of Toronto. Your turn.
Yeah, I guess the inspiration behind what we're doing is we've had a purpose in our family for probably 15 years to help the homeless. And it's been a focus of our family and an investment of our time and energy and finances to help the homeless over a long period of time. Caitlin was actually a youth pastor for a period of time and took teams of youth out to help the homeless on the streets as well. So we've got a really a background in trying to make a difference with the less fortunate. I've had a lifelong love of coffee. But what really triggered what we're doing, in my career, we owned a marketing public relations firm, and one of our clients was a water charity that provided clean drinking water in underdeveloped countries and around the world. And many of those countries were the people in the villages were near starvation level, and they picked coffee beans for a living, and they made less than $1 a day. And I thought, that seems crazy because where I live in Toronto, there's a coffee shop on every corner, and coffee is not inexpensive. So I thought, my love of coffee, my love of helping the homeless, maybe helping the people in these villages live a better life, maybe we can put something together, and that's where Street Brew came from. So we buy from village co-ops. We do not buy from brokers or large conglomerates. So we pay the villagers 3 times what the brokers would pay them. So we can leave more money in the village. And because we do that, they treat us well by picking the highest quality beans for us. The coffee brokers get whatever they pick. We get the select beans, which helps us provide a better quality coffee. And that was the start of it. Caitlin went away and got her master's degree in the US and realized that a lot of the students gathered in specialty coffee shops, free Wi-Fi, and I'll meet you at the coffee shop and we'll study and so on. So community develops around coffee. You can invite people to your home for coffee. You can meet people in coffee shops. So we thought, if we could help the villagers, develop a coffee product, help the homeless, and help. So that's the whole inspiration behind what we're doing, is to develop a community of coffee lovers, hopefully a large enough community to make a substantial difference. And
This is our coffee right here.
Yeah.
Our signature blend comes from Honduras. So we have a light, a medium, and a dark roast specifically from Honduras. We also do have an espresso bean, which is half Colombian, and half
Peruvian.
So we got several different roasts, but yeah, this is my baby. This is my favorite one. Our medium roast from Honduras. It's got chocolate and caramel flavor notes, and it's definitely my favorite. This is what I have every day.
So the whole purpose behind what we're doing is Caitlin and I was fiddling around with coffee and developing coffee while she was away at school. When she came back, she landed back in Canada just about the time COVID hit. So job opportunities weren't all that great. And I said, why don't we kick off the coffee and see where it goes? So we did, and it's been well embraced, and we're doing really well. I mean, all of our shows in 2020 got canceled because of COVID, and nothing in 2021. But Caitlin launched social media. So in February of this year, she came and asked me if I'd ever heard of TikTok, and of course I had not. And she said, well, we got no shows, and it doesn't look like we're going to have any. Can I try social media? And it's blown up. Caitlin's approaching 500,000 followers on TikTok and almost 100,000 followers on YouTube. And she developed a niche in the coffee market of learn to make good coffee at home. It doesn't have to be a big hurdle that you have to jump over. It's easier than you think. So
making specialty coffee accessible and easy to learn at home.
And make it fun.
Yeah.
And that has really, it's crazy. She'll do a live show and get up to 18,000 people that tune into her live TikTok shows. So equipment manufacturers have embraced that. So yeah, that's kind of where we've come from. So we make quality specialty coffee and see if we can get enough people to buy it.
That's amazing. I love the fact that you've got impact, outside of Canada, but you also have impact here that's local, close to home. I think you're doing an amazing job kind of building that community that you want to build to support, homelessness. I also saw your TikTok video with the Hershey chocolate bar melted into the espresso, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is to die for. So thank you very much for sharing that story with us and for everything that you guys are doing. So thank you. Okay, so we are going to move on to now, who doesn't love a cozy candle on a chilly day? We're moving on to Catherine and Company and welcoming Emerald, who can tell us more about Catherine and Company.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And the presentation so far have been amazing. I'm Emerald from Catherine and Company, and I started this company in the middle of the pandemic, actually. I was spending a lot of time with my mom. She's a kindergarten teacher, so she was at home teaching in the laundry room, and I was working in the dining room. And we were just spending like every day together. And I got bored one day and I was like, I need a hobby. And it was like that period where everyone was making bread, so there was no flour. And people were making clay necklaces, so there was no materials for that. And I was like, why don't I just make candles? And so I started making candles. And if anyone has ever made a candle, it's not cheap. So I did that, and I spent a lot of money learning how to make it and perfect it. And I decided that I wanted to gift them to friends, but I needed to make them look professional. And I needed an idea and a story behind it. And because I was spending a lot of time with my mom, I decided to name it after her. And the first collection of candles is inspired by the diaspora and where I'm from. We're from Congo. So all the names for those candles are in Lingala, which is our main language, or Spanish, because, the history of Africa and all that. So that was the first collection. And then in the summer of this year, around June, I decided to make a collection that was a little bit more me, a little bit more silly. And the first series of candles that came out were picked up and noticed by a lot of people. I have a candle called This Candle Smells Like Cruise and Tango's Second Floor. And if you've ever gone to Cruise and Tango's, you know what that smells like up there. And Cruise and Tango's got wind of this, and they loved it and they approved it, which was great. And so I started getting more sales from that. And I decided to give back because it was Pride and it would make no sense for me to kind of co-opt this legendary gay bar without giving back to the community. So that month, I decided to donate half the proceeds to Casey House, which is a hospital / home for people who are living with HIV, and they support them in holistic ways. And from then on, I decided to, each candle would be associated with a specific organization. If it's doing really well that month, I donate to Casey House regularly, and October during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and November for prostate cancer and all those types of things. So I dedicate a candle from this very silly collection to an organization that I trust and know that they will be doing good work. October, I had dedicated it to my best friend's mom's breast cancer fund. November, obviously, is going to be going to a local organization that supports people with prostate cancer. And then next month, depending on which candle does well, we'll be going to Covenant House, which I actually also worked for. So I know what they do and how much they care for the kids that come into there. So yeah, it started very much being just me hanging out with my mom every day and needing a hobby to being much bigger than I ever thought it would be, and really being able to give back because I've always loved giving back. And this way I find that it's better and people get to know that this very silly candle is something that people have in their homes and they enjoy them, and also being able to support my community.
Amazing. I love hearing positive stories that have come out of the pandemic and your unique way of figuring out how you can kind of give back. I think that's great. So what's your kind of top selling candle scent?
So last month I had a candle that was called This Candle Smells Like McDonald's on Queen and Spadina. And that was very, very popular. But then I got a letter from McDonald's Canada telling me that I couldn't sell that anymore. So it's back to the Cruise and Tangos candle. But I'm definitely cooking up something a little bit more ridiculous for my community.
Oh, we can't wait to see it. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Amrod. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we're going to move on to our next one. So we're moving from cozy candles to warm hats, and I'm going to introduce you to Eric, the founder of Toque. Eric, are you here? There you are. Hello.
Okay, hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. So first off, thanks so much again for having me. And thank you to Troop for putting this whole dance together. It's really quite an amazing thing, and hearing everybody's stories has been just an absolute pleasure so far. And frankly, I hope one day we can bring back this McDonald's candle. It sounds like an incredible opportunity. Okay, so why don't I tell you a little bit about who I am? And my partner Ethan and I just decided if one of us spoke, that probably makes the most sense anyhow. So actually, you'll notice the screen behind me, and I'm actually in a classroom right now with real live students. And the reason I'm showing you that is because Toque actually stemmed from an idea in a classroom. So I teach in a high school, and I was teaching a unit on business. And basically, I wanted to get my students involved with basically business of today and the way that we can change things and make them more socially conscious. So the final project was to create a business and put together a business plan. And that plan included either making a sustainability focused business or a social enterprise or a non-for-profit. So they could take any of these avenues. And some of the work that came from it was really quite inspirational. And I've run the project back a number of years, but Toque actually started off as an exemplar that Ethan and I created for my class. And it literally started from an equation that we came up in our minds that said 1 + 1 = Toque. And so let me explain that a little bit further. So we're in the business of spreading warmth. And what we've done is we've decided to put together what is essentially a Canadian problem and try to find a Canadian solution to it. So the idea here is that we create winter hats, and then we sell winter hats, and then we donate one for every item that we sell. So that's why there's a little W in our name. wonderful little pun using the French Canadian spelling there. But the fact is that for Ethan and I, our office is downtown Toronto, and unfortunately, we only have to walk a block or two to find folks who are constantly living on the street and choosing specifically to live on the street, let alone entering shelters and the whole system in that respect. So we understand that there's a lot of people who are out there choosing to be out there. And the fact is, regardless of socioeconomic status, when it's cold, it gets cold, and we all feel the cold. So we thought, what if there was a way that we could make something that's truly for everybody and help make a difference? Because really, if you can buy a product and then somebody else can benefit, then isn't that really the definition of a win-win? And so you might say that sounds pretty similar to what's going on at Stock Footage. And yeah, we've totally partnered and caught up before. So because we're all about helping out the community in that positive way. And so in a nutshell, that's who we are and that's what we do. If now you're into wearing a toque because it's hiding your COVID hair, power to you. If I wear a toque, if it's 30 below or 30 plus, that's just my style now. So we have a pretty classic style. I'll just take it off my head for a second here. So I'll show it to you. We got 3 colors going on right now. We got our bold burgundy, our midnight blue, and our black. Never goes out of style. And you can wear it as a cuff or as a slouch. So I'm choosing to go with a slouch today. Much better pictures on our website than anything I could show you on screen here because it would be in plastic wrap anyway. And so you can go to our website, touque.ca, TWOQUE. And it's $5 shipping across the board, anywhere in Canada and beyond. We've also shipped to such places as Japan. And I think we've also hit up Australia as well in our travels here. So that's the essence of who we are and what we do. And we also do promotional for companies. So if you want to do corporate gifts or anything like that and fulfill your corporate social responsibility, we've just done a couple of big run orders in that respect. So anything that you want to do with the toque. We also do face masks, and you can also get gift cards. We're your go-to guys.
I love everything about that. I love the fact that you're teachers, that you're teaching social enterprise. I love the 1-for-1 model. I love the hat. And so I want to know, if your kids are wearing hats in the classroom, do you make them take it off if it's a touque hat?
I mean, I don't always go by school policy, but generally speaking, the best way to get a bonus mark in my class is to pick yourself up a toque. But
fabulous. Thanks so much, Eric. Thanks for joining us and for telling us your story. Okay, so we are moving on to our last, but certainly not least, a retailer and vendor that we want to showcase today. So I'd like to welcome Dipti. Dipti is the founder of You and Me Ritual and the creator of the family meditation device, the Mindful Dia. I think that we could all use a little bit more Zen this holiday season. So Dipti, tell us more about your company and the product that you've got.
Hi, everyone. Such amazing stories and got so many ideas to share with friends, the holiday gifts. So thank you so much. My story is, many people may relate to this. Few years back, I was sitting in the living room next to my husband, and I was just feeling he's just another person. It was like, I'm not the special person who I loved, had fun, and I still love him, but the connection is not there. And I was like trying to speak to him, but it was coming like I am in my living room fighting with Facebook, fighting with work emails, fighting with all the companies who have very good marketing skills, sending to him things to click on, versus me, a simple human being sitting next to him and trying to grab his attention, where the same attention is wanted by everybody else. And I came to realize how heartbroken and how scary this looks. If this continues in my life for a few more years, it is very possible that we wouldn't be together for nobody's fault. It's just like lack of attention and being mindful of what we are on the slippery slope we are, and loss or death of a loving relationship. And as I do meditation practice, so I really went deeper into it. And I think mindfulness is a solution to everything. Whatever you put put it in it, it will give you a beautiful and better thing out of that. And once I started looking what was there in my childhood, how we were so connected. Growing up, my family did not have a lot of money, but I was very, very, very fortunate that we had meaningful connection. And one thing I came to notice, we didn't live it to chance. Oh, you are family or you are good. We don't have to, like, nobody has to give attention to that. Rather, we were cultivating our connection, our peace, joy, and togetherness with everyday evening ritual. We'll come together, we'll light up a lamp, we'll sit around it, breathe few minutes, do our prayer, and then talk about our life experiences, our thoughts, our dreams, or the like values, all that thing. And I was like, I'm going to do that. And just to try, because that had worked. So let's see. And we both worked in corporate at that point. It's like, hey, let's get a meeting, family. Because that's the only way you get the attention. And we booked 15-minute meetings and we made few rules. We said, we are not going to talk about any project, things to buy, or even vacation to book, because that was an exciting thing every time we were spending time together to talk about. So my husband said, so what are we going to talk? I said, I will bring topics. And rather than asking him, how was your day? Which was like, I asked, like, did you find anything funny today? Because he's a funny guy, and like he's like, yeah, and he shared like one thing led to another, and we were laughing. The 15-minute meeting went for like 1 hour, and he's like, let's do it tomorrow. And the next day it's like, hey, what is your dream? Like, if there is no restriction, what are the things you want to do? Next day, who is your best friend? How did you become friends? Things like that. And we realized we could buy everything in our, like, whatever we want, but we couldn't buy that meaningful human connection. And I shared it with my friends, how we were, when we are feeling disconnected, everybody related to it, the problem. Yeah, I feel the same with my kid, my teenager, my twin, my husband, my mother, and all that. But at the end, they said, this is life. And that's one thing I was not ready with. I said, I did not sign up for this life. I want the loving relationship life, the meaningful connection life in my life. And that's where I said, how can I make it easier? Everybody wants it. How can I make it easier for people to get that meaningful connection with each other? And with that, I realized, like, we live our life with association. We cannot bring phone. When phone comes in front of us, we think about, oh, my work, or like connecting with people outside, or connecting with things outside, not with your family members. And my goal here was connecting people who live together. And that's where I again went back to the basic. I created a audio guided lamp. Just come together, dim your light, sit together, and press a button, eyes closed.
I love it.
And take a few slow and deep breaths. So it guides you to relax first, because let's accept, we all are a better person when we are relaxed. So my whole point, how can I help families to feel relaxed, restore their senses, and then connect? So not just physically present, but present in the mind space. So our audio guides are breathe, reflect, and share, but at the end, they experience relaxation, restoration, and rejoice the togetherness.
I love that product. I absolutely loved it. I love the fact that it's a clock too, so it's kind of functional as well. I love the fact that it's something that you're doing together as your family and that your children can get involved. I'm a huge believer in mindfulness as well, but I struggle to get my children involved in it. So I just absolutely love it. So where can any of these people find it?
Yeah, so we sell it on www.youandmeritual.com, because Abhi and I, my husband and I, we started doing it. What do we call it? We called it You and Me Ritual. And this is a family centric. There are a lot of mindfulness products or like apps are there, but our goal is how can we get a family centric mindfulness rather than individual centric.
Love it. Dipti, thank you so much for telling us more about your product, and thank you for sharing your story. So we have come to the end of the Troop Impact Market. I want to thank again all of the founders, all of the entrepreneurs for sharing their very inspiring stories. I know I'm inspired. I hope that you're inspired. Thank you for attending. I also want to thank Kendra from my team who's pulled all this together. She's done such a fabulous job bringing everybody together. There you are. Thanks, Kendra. And finally, if you want to learn more about Troop and how we help businesses create a social impact every single month, then please reach out. You can email me, kelly@hightroop.com. And if you've got any other questions, there's going to be a quick survey that comes out at the end of this call. So please do give us some feedback, and happy holiday shopping, and have a great rest of your afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for attending. Thanks a lot. Bye.